Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Let's welcome in Antonio Daniels, of course, stud college pro player, and he calls games for the Pelicans TV network. They're taking on the Spurs tonight, which, of course, Antonio used to play for. You got a lot of things, but what's the state of the Pelicans as we know they're not going to have Zion tonight? But after the trade that got them C.J. McCollum, it seemed to kind of settle this team. Mm-hmm. Going into this play-in game, what's the state of the Pels looking forward?
Excited for a number of different reasons. I don't know if you're referring to just the play-in game or if you're more referring to next season, the future. But I feel like this is a culmination of things that started all the way back when this team was 1-12. You know, what Willie Green has done, the job that he has done throughout the course of this year, and now you bring in a C.J. McCollum to help shift and change the culture and put him alongside Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas as you start Jackson Hayes at the 4 with the athleticism, the length, and now things have changed. It changed, plain and simple. I'm constantly going on different platforms and going to bat for the change the narrative to what it feels like to play in New Orleans. Because there was a while that people were saying no one wants to play in New Orleans. Oh, Chris Paul left and Anthony Davis left. Oh, you know what? We hear Zion wants to leave. I'll be the first one to tell you Zion does not want to leave, but that's a completely different conversation. C.J. McCollum came in here and the first thing he said is New Orleans is where I wanted to be. And the culture is starting to change. The culture is starting to shift. So tonight, having an opportunity to host a playing game after starting 1-12 and 3-16, this is the brick in the foundation of what it's going to be like to play for the New Orleans Pelicans now moving forward.
Why do people think that Zion wants out?
Because of the national narrative. The national narrative, and this is whether or not you want to recognize this or not, Doug, the national narrative is they don't want to see young stars in small markets, period. People went crazy when Giannis Antetokounmpo signed his extension. Oh, my gosh, what's he doing? He signed an extension to stay in Milwaukee. He could have gone to L.A. He could have been at Madison Square Garden. He could have gone to Miami. All these different things. People don't want to see young stars take the Tim Duncan role. And that's basically organically build a franchise from the ground up and keep them relevant without even being concerned with moving to a bigger market. People don't want to see it. So the moment that Zion...
You think, wait, hold on. When you say people... Media,
the national narrative, the
fans?
national media.
Why would that be? There's part of me that agrees with me. There's part of me that agrees with you. But part of me that disagrees with you. But I want you give me you're here for your opinion. I have you for your opinion. Why do you think that's what the national media thinks? Because
that's what they've always said. From the moment that Zion, the moment that the Pelicans got the number 1 pick, you know what I heard? Oh, he should stay in school for another year now. Right? He should stay in school for another year. The moment that he played at Madison Square Garden and said, you know what, man, I like playing at Madison Square Garden. It's one of my favorite arenas. Now it was, you know what, Zion needs to go to Madison Square Garden.
Sure.
The moment that the Knicks drafted R.J. Barrett and traded for Cam Reddish, you know what it was? Oh, you know what, Zion's next. For whatever reason, I can't sit here and explain to you why, Doug, but young stars, I'm going to tell you who's after Zion. I'm going to tell you who you're going to start hearing about next. That the media is going to talk about him leaving the situation that he's in. Quote me now. It's going to be Donovan Mitchell. Watch. Donovan Mitchell is going to be the next
I think
guy.
The Donovan Mitchell thing preceded the Zion thing, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that only speaks to my point. That only speaks to my point. When you have young stars, especially generational ones, that are drafted by small markets, people would like nothing better, it seems, than to get those guys out of those markets. I've gone on different shows. I've gone on with your boy Colin Coward numerous times and told him at the time, maybe we should just condense the NBA to 8 or 9 teams. That's it. Just remove all the small markets.
Here's the thing. You and I actually agree. I think most fans actually agree. I think there's a good portion of fans. And I think I think, look, let's just say it. ESPN's now, most of it's located in New York City. You got New Yorkers hosting their shows, and the amount of time they talk about the Jets and the Knicks, considering how irrelevant they are in the actual landscape of the sport is comical. It's comical.
Agreed.
It's like Boston guy that everything relates to the Sox or the Celtics or the Patriots. The rest of us don't care. But I also think that a good portion of this is some of the players that they have done this. Not Zion, okay, not Zion, but some of the other players because of their movement to the coasts. Because of hold on now. Let me finish. So Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving chose Brooklyn. Did they choose it for market size? I'm not sure. Okay, LeBron and Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're all in LA by choice. All of them are there by choice. That's where they wanted to be. Okay, and it is true that small market teams believe this to be a reality. That the only way you're going to get guys is if you draft them and you overpay them and they become happy and ingrained in the and you hope that they're all Damian Lillards. That's what you hope.
But here's the thing, though, Doug. Here's the thing. This is not a small market issue. This is an NBA issue. Because, yes, we can talk about LeBron James going to L.A. LeBron James also left Miami to go to Cleveland. You know what I mean? So in today's NBA, James Harden left.
This is home market, dude.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, we can't.
Yes,
it
does.
No,
context matters.
James Harden left Houston. James Harden left Houston
to go to New York. Wait, to go to New York,
and then he left New York to go to Philly. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Listen. Let me ask you an honest question. Let me ask you an honest question.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying first.
Yeah.
Let me finish what I'm saying first. What I'm saying is this is not a small market issue. In today's NBA, stars don't stay. Not in small markets, not in big markets, not in anything. Because it's a player-empowered NBA where guys are linking up to play together. It's not a market that. It's not like, well, look, this is just a small market thing. Guys are just leaving small markets. No, guys are leaving big markets too. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Who's leaving a big market? I mean, my question. My question is this. My question is this. Antonio Daniels joining us. He's the color voice of the New Orleans Pelicans. They play in the play-in tonight against the Spurs, his former team as a player. You know all these front office guys, like all the guys your age that played, the smart ones like you are either covering the games or they're working in the front offices. You know that this is a reality of what the small market – you're saying it's not a small market team thing, but it is a small market team thing. Like you talk to those the Oklahoma Cities of the world, and they're like, look, and the Utahs of the world, the only way they can get guys is to draft guys.
You have to draft right. Mm-hmm.
So why are you saying it's not a small market thing?
No. What I'm saying, I'm talking about players just leaving. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about players just leaving.
Okay, I mean, like, look, it's very simple. If Zion ain't going to leave, then all Zion has to do is get in front of the camera and go, like, listen, anybody who's talking about me leaving hasn't talked to me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not healthy. But when he's away from the team, when there's all this miscommunication about is he healthy, is he not, they're shutting him down for the year, no, he's fine, that's like breadcrumbs to those of us who are like, wait, why isn't he more? And there was a major story. Somebody wrote a major story that his camp's not happy with the Pelicans before the season started. Great.
Okay, I won't even get into that. But go ahead.
Why not? You're there. Your boots on the ground. You're telling me this is not true. Tell me why it's not true.
You're exactly right. It's not true because they've come out and said it's not true. That's why. But this is what we do. We disregard stories like that. So we disregard when his stepfather comes out and he says, don't listen to anything that doesn't come from Zion, myself, his mom, or his brother. We did. So when he talks about when there's frustration with the organization, it's similar to frustration within a family. That's the part that we disregard. Okay. We don't want to hear that part. We don't want to hear that. But now it's almost like when you hear positive news, you almost feel like somebody has to say it. But negative news, you run with it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So if Zion was to come out and say,
I get that as well. Let me ask you about last night. Okay, I know you watched Brooklyn, and
yes, for sure.
Kyrie could not have been better. Kevin Durant could not have been better, and still, that thing was not a blowout. Right. And Jared Allen didn't play.
Right.
So I think we all want this to be a great series, and Robert Williams is not going to play for Boston. But that Brooklyn team can't guard anybody. I mean, so what do you think of the Nets after watching them throughout the season, watching them last night when we got the absolute best of Kyrie Irving?
This is the thing. I don't think this is a regular number 7 seed. They're a number 7 seed due to circumstance. They're a number 7 seed due to a global pandemic. If this team is healthy all year long, there's no way they're a number 7 seed. They're number 7 because Kyrie Irving chose not to get vaccinated. Now, I'm not giving my opinion on his vaccination choice. That's on him. But the fact of the matter is they finished 7th because he wasn't there for half the season, and then when he came back, he was only available for away games. Kevin Durant being injured. This is not a regular number 7 seed. I tell you what I am doing, Doug. I'm picking Brooklyn to beat Boston. I am doing that. I am picking Brooklyn at 7, at a 7 seed, to beat Boston at a 2 seed. And the only reason I'm doing that is because there is no Robert Williams. It's going to be a shootout. So basically it's going to come down for me, who's better, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, or Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And anytime you talk about a shootout with those two guys and no rim protection, I'm taking Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
I like it. Okay. A lot of people think that because James Harden's not right, Toronto's going to beat the Sixers. You agree?
Man, that's a tough one for me. Because I love Nick Nurse. I love his ability to make defensive adjustments and do things that coaches ordinarily wouldn't do. You know, triangle and 2, 1-3-1, boxing 1, all these kind of things. Like, he'll throw different defenses at you. Now, the thing about Toronto is they play small. They don't even start a center, a clear-cut center. So what will be an advantage for Philly on one end will be a disadvantage for Philly on the other end. So offensively, they can take advantage of Joel Embiid's size and his strength and his skill set. But defensively, he's going to have to guard someone. And my thing is, I want to see James Harden produce in the postseason. I do. I think it's time. And if he doesn't produce in the postseason this year, I don't think there's a guy in this league right now that has more pressure on him than James Harden does in the postseason. You can look at different guys. You can look at Kyrie Irving because of everything that happened with the vaccination status and, different guys. No one is even close to having the amount of responsibility and pressure on their shoulders that James Harden has because of his playoff failures in the past. So now you changed and gone to 2 different teams in 16 months, right? This is what you wanted from the beginning. I think when James Harden was in Houston, he wanted to go to Philly. I think Brooklyn was just a classic point of something that he had to do to get to Philadelphia. So now you're there. This is what you asked for. You got it. This is who you wanted to play with, and Joel Embiid. Now what are you going to do with it? Everything is great. When that honeymoon period was there and they were rolling and everybody's talking about, this is the best big man guard combo since Kobe and Shaq and all this kind of stuff. My thing is not how things are when they're going great. How does this team respond to adversity? Because
Sure.
if there's one thing that James Harden has shown us is when adversity hits, he has not responded in the most professional manner.
Last thing, 6 years ago today, Kobe played his last game. He scored 60 points. Now, look, he by his own estimation, he was not good that year, and he took him 50 shots to do it. But still, give me when I say Kobe and 60, do you remember where you were that night?
Yes, I was at home watching the game. But I'll be honest with you, Doug, when I think of Kobe and having an opportunity to compete against him for so many years, at this point in my life, what stands out to me was his life after.
Sure.
You know what I mean? As professional athletes, and I say this all the time, I don't want my legacy to be in between those 4 lines. I want my legacy to be outside those 4 lines. I don't want my daughters and my son to remember me as a basketball player. I want them to remember me as a father. I want them to remember me as a man. And what Kobe became once he retired from the game of basketball is what I remember most about Kobe Bryant.
Great stuff, man. Have a great call tonight. We'll talk to you very soon. Really appreciate you joining us.
For sure. Appreciate you, Doug.